Well, today was a last night technically, was a very interesting day in college football. Ohio State faced Georgia. Michigan played TCU. And is the underdogs going to win? Is the powerhouse going to win? Is the expected going to happen? Well, let's break it down real quick. I'm sure you can see it in the news. I'm sure you've already come across it. Michigan was stifled by TCU and had chances to win and could not pull it off. TCU beat Michigan 51-45. Now, when you give up 51 points or even 45 points on either side, that is really hard to overcome. Now, I know a lot of teams can do that, and Michigan has a high-powered offense, but me and my friend talked, and he's a Michigan fan, and we had a big discussion about it, and he said the big key is that TCU has a really strong run defense. I didn't watch the game, I'll be honest. I did keep up with it, though. But TCU's defense was just enough to keep Michigan from scoring. And their offense did just enough to get the win. 51 points, you should win. 45 points, you should win. When the game is 51-45, neither one has a defense. But TCU pulled it off. The underdogs. Everybody said TCU did not belong. Guess what? They are going to the championship. Georgia, Ohio State. Ohio State had the lead over Georgia in so many cases. Keep in mind, Ohio State is playing without their top receiver, top running back. Their third-string running back is out. And their top defensive lineman is out. So, you've already gone into the game, and I'm not making excuses. Ohio State plays strong. Ohio State has been strong all year, except against Michigan. And again today, I think they played really strong. Their weakness has always been the run, and defensively is not the best, and that's been that way for quite a while. Even under Urban Meyer, their defense has always been questionable at best, sometimes. They've had some really good players up front, and their secondary has always been weak. I think Day is hitting on that, and I think he's getting there, but it still is getting some work done. But offensively, Ohio State's top weapons are out of the game, and I'm not making excuses. Ohio State lost by 1 point. I'm not going to complain. I'm an Ohio State fan. Georgia, there's a reason why they're number one. I hate to say it. But the thing I'm going to have to hear for another year is SEC is the powerhouse. SEC this, SEC that. Our number 2 receiver was knocked out. Our number 1 tight end was knocked out. And Georgia had a few injuries themselves, so I'm not going to say that we was the only ones. But we were missing our top weapons, our biggest threats, our fastest guys. They made it so that way, instead of trying to cover a spread offense with a lot of dangerous weapons, you cut off some of those weapons. Because when Harrison went out, that made it so that way you're a short-range team. So your defense didn't have to play as deep. Your safeties were freed up. Man-on-man works a lot better when you're playing against guys that don't have a deep threat to them. Now, is Ohio State's future just fine? I think so. I think both teams are going to have a lot of people going into the NFL, so there's no question there. Now, and Michigan for that matter, and probably TCU. Oh, excuse me. But it was a good game. I did not watch much of it, but the stadium is supposed to be home field advantage. How's a home field advantage when the game is played in Georgia and you're playing the Georgia Bulldogs? The Peach Bowl is in Georgia. Ohio State lost by 1 point. Hats off to them. Georgia kept getting a big lead, or kept losing to a big leading, but then they kept coming back and fighting. I mean, I'll give Georgia credit. They fought their heads off. Ohio State proved they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. This is one of those years I think they had the talent. If they stayed on board, I think that Ohio State probably could have pulled it off. If Harrison could have stayed on, or Cade Stover could have stayed on, and even without him, they still almost won. And I know almost doesn't count except for in horseshoes and hand grenades. But, Ohio State gave it a good fight, and they could have won it. They didn't, but they came close. And I know there's always next year. But honestly, I think this was, even though we lost, I think we put up a good fight. I think it was a good game. I think Ohio State held their own and has to keep their heads up. As far as Georgia, they got the win. It's what you're going for. Georgia beat Ohio State, and they're going into the finals. So it's going to be Georgia and the TCU. Everybody's expecting Georgia to blow away TCU. I think it's going to be another one of those really close nail biters. I think Georgia is going to win this one. But hats off to Ohio State, in my opinion. I don't care what anybody else says. Ohio State played to win, and Ryan Day, I think, proved that he is the right guy for the team. He just has to figure out the whole Michigan problem. He's lost 2 games in a row to Michigan. He needs to turn that around, or else he's going to have some troubles. Still would like to see him win a bowl game. But, when you lose the way he did, he made the right call. Couple drop passes, it happens. It kind of sucks, but it happens. No Ruggles missing a kick. He's been almost perfect all season. Everybody has an off day. Everybody has a bad kick at one point or another. Man, you get me on the field to kick the ball, I don't think I can go more than 15, 20 yards. He has my number there. They're not going to call me to be a college coach kicker, or a college kicker, that's for sure. I don't think I can do half the good jobs when he can, and if I could, I don't know if I'd be able to get it straight. But, hats off to all 4 teams. They all played strong. And Michigan was way behind at the beginning, and they came back and almost won it. So, hats off to all 4 teams. They all proved, in my opinion, that they all deserve to be there. So, people that are SEC fans, don't take away what Ohio State did. Don't take away what Michigan did. And definitely don't take away from TCU, because they beat Michigan, who was the number 2 team in the country. And honestly, TCU played lights out. Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan all played lights out. I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm an anti-Michigan fan, but I vote for them when it's Big Ten against everybody else. Because it's Big Ten. You got to support the Big Ten no matter what. But yeah, 2 losses for the Big Ten. But you know what? To me, it's a win. Ohio State lost by a point. It was the last minute. I give them credit. I want to see Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee all go up to Ohio or Michigan and play games up there. I guarantee you we're not going to have the same discussion, because there's no way those teams are built to be able to take that kind of weather. They don't play in that kind of weather at all year. And when Georgia's supposed to be on a neutral field and the stadium is nothing but Georgia Bulldog fans, is it really a neutral ground stadium? I think it should have been the Peach Bowl. I think it should have been in another area than that stadium. But it is what it is. Ohio State lost by a point. They lost their biggest weapons to injuries. I don't know what's going to happen next year. I think Harrison's going to be coming back. Smith Njigba, who knows? He was injured all year. He was out. Travion Henderson was out. Mayan Williams played a little bit, and I think he went out. But yeah, we did not. We were playing with a lot of underdogs in the first place, and I think we still played hats off. So I don't care what anybody says. I'm very proud of them. Georgia and TCU, football championship material, facing each other for the championship next week, I think. Pretty sure. But hats off to all 4 teams. I think they both put up really, really strong games. I think they both had good showings. Or all 4 had good showings. TCU beat a number 2 team in the country. A team that everybody was saying was favored by a lot against TCU. I don't know what the spread was. Don't really care. I hate betting in the first place. But yeah, TCU, I think they proved they can play, and I think the Georgia-Ohio State game could have gone either way. Ohio State got it. So that's my take on the football playoffs. Agree with me, disagree with me, say whatever you want. You're free to go. Just let me know what you think. Do you think Ohio State earned respect? Obviously, they lost. Did they earn the respect? I think they did. Does Georgia belong as a number 1 team? And does Georgia belong being the the chance to win the conference championship? Do they get the respect? I got respect for them. Michigan, TCU. TCU outplayed Michigan. They got my respect. Michigan, I'm an Ohio State fan. At this point, Michigan's out. Nah, they don't have my support. They didn't win, so they let the Big Ten down just like Ohio State did. Anyway, in all seriousness, all 4 teams played lights out. Michigan should have, at one point, was losing by a lot, and they came back. So I'm proud of all 4 teams. And respect. What do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. Give me your thoughts. Leave in the comments. Give me a thumbs up. That's all it takes. No money, no nothing else. And you guys be blessed. And Happy New Year! Happy New Year!